Biz Tech. Hi everyone, this is Africa Archield with Tech30. We are live. I've also periscoping, so I'm doing both of these at once. I'm really excited today to come to you to answer any of your biz tech questions. So if you have a business that you've taken online and you want to put things together, whether it has email automations, YouTube, how to do Google Hangouts like this one, periscoping, social media, funnels, whatever you have, I really want to go ahead and answer your question now.
Periscoping, so I'm doing
so let me know what questions you have. You can put it in, if you're watching on the Google Hangout, there is a chat box next to the Hangout, and you can put in questions there. And if you're on Periscope, go ahead and give me some hearts, share this with other people, and ask your questions. I'm going to be glancing over there, so if I don't get on your question immediately, feel free to type it back in. I will answer it. Okay, so one of the questions that came in earlier was on lighting. I had a friend of mine, she wrote me in, she's like, Africa, I really don't know how to do lighting. You know, I've watched you on your videos, you're usually pretty well lit, and I'm kind of well lit right now, right? And she wants to know, what kind of lighting do I use? Well, I'm just going to give you some basics on lighting right now. And the first thing I would say that is the cheapest, easiest lighting to use is natural sunlight. It also makes you look the best, by the way. So if you really want to shoot some videos, I say go outside. Use the natural sunlight. Use it in the morning or in the late afternoon. Not when it's directly overhead, because then natural sunlight is your enemy and it will cast some ugly looking shadows on you. So you definitely want to do this in the morning or late evening. Okay, natural sunlight. Also right now, I'm pretty much lit up by natural sunlight. I have a window next to me. That's why I have more on this side of my face. I'm more lit up on this side than this side because this is where the wall is over here, right? So even if you sit next to a bright sunny window, and it's best always to have the sun coming behind the camera and onto you that way. That way you're fully lit up all the way around. So if I had reoriented this way and had the sunlight coming in, my entire face would be lit up. Okay, so that's one great way to do lighting. It's cheap, it's free, right? And then the next way to do lighting is to actually go out and buy lights. So I said I'm mostly lit by the sun. I'm here in my office, so I'm mostly lit by the sun because of the window over here. But above my head, of course, I have, you know, a fixture, a light fixture. And in that light fixture, I bought special bulbs, okay? So you can go to your neighborhood hardware store and buy daylight bulbs, right? They have to say daylight instead of, let's say, soft white or something like that. They need to say daylight. Okay, and that kind of imitates the light that comes in from the sun. Again, it just makes you look a lot better. So that's what I do when I'm kind of doing things like Tech30 and I don't want to have my big lights out. I have always have the daylight bulbs in the rooms I'm in. In fact, I started installing them all around my house because it also helps with people who go into depression, especially when it's dark and gray outside. So you'll see this a lot in places like Seattle. I had a friend that also had this issue kind of in Maryland. It was just really dark and gray. The daylight bulbs, that simulation of daylight really brings out all the joy and happiness in you. And it makes you look good on camera. So that's an extra bonus, right? So you've got that. And again, that's a really cheap fix. I think I bought some daylight bulbs the other day and they were like $4, $3, $4. You could get them on sale sometimes, even cheaper. So they don't have to be giant, huge, but they just have to be on there. Okay, so, okay, Darla asks, will you have the lighting info on your blog post? Oh, okay. She was trying to watch me on Periscope too. But yes, I will actually, when I post this as a blog on my site, I will put some lighting info there too. So don't worry if you're not getting it. If you're not jotting everything down right now, if you come back to the blog and watch, it'll be there as a post. Okay, the next set that you can kind of go, and I'm kind of going up in price, as you can tell, You can go to, again, your neighborhood hardware store, and you can get construction lights, or drop lights, they call them. And there's some that come out. I'm trying to look to see if I have mine in easy reach, and I don't. It's metal. It's kind of like a metal funnel. These things are like, smaller ones might be $5 or $6 on up to maybe $15. Okay, and they have a clamp at the end. And literally, you take the daylight bulbs I was talking about before, and you just screw them in, you plug it into your wall, and you can set them up, buy as many as you need, and set them up, again, the best is between you and the camera, okay? Of course, earlier I was talking about natural sunlight, and you kind of don't have that choice. But when you're using actual lights, you can set it up between you and the camera, and that's the best place to put the light. Okay, so imagine maybe 5 feet in front of you is the camera, and maybe another 3 feet in front of you are actually the lights on this side at like about a 45-degree angle, okay, to your face. All right, it's more than 15. Okay, and so that's the best way to have your lights on you. Okay. And it's a good idea, and what you're trying to mimic, especially if you're going to the hardware store to buy this, what you're trying to mimic is called soft box lights. Now, if you want to, I bought my soft box lights off of Amazon. You could go on Amazon, put that in the search parameter, you'll get all sorts of soft box lights. But essentially, they have this kind of white, kind of translucent sheet over the top. You can mimic that with regular sheets. However, you need to be careful because, you know, issues with fire. You can also go and get the gels that they use in theater lights. Okay, these are pretty, they're just like sheets of, not paper, but kind of a plasticky. And you can put those over them as well to soften that light. So it's not just kind of coming out to you all at once, like boom, like that. It's kind of coming out like that on your face. And that's what makes it soft and looks really beautiful against, as you're being lit up. So again, you can do all that at the hardware store. Of course, if you're using clamps, gels, thank you. If you're using clamps, you have to have something to clamp it on. So you're gonna have to find something around your house, perhaps the back of a chair you could use to put the clamp on so it's at the right height for you, okay? So then take another step in the cost, and that's where I said earlier, you could go on Amazon, put in the search parameters, soft box lights. They're typically used by photographers or someone like that. Feel free to use them. Most of them are just fine. The person I was talking to, she's like, how much does that typically cost? And of course, cost can vary wildly depending on how good of equipment that you get. You know, when you're starting out, you don't have to get the best gee whiz bang thing. You can get something that will work, which is why I told you about the way to do it with your hardware store. However, you might want to get something a little nicer, and they could cost, I'd say, maybe $200–300 at the cheaper end on up. Okay, you can get some. I mean, when I had a photographer come out and take pictures of me, trust me, the soft box light he was using was nothing like the one that I had. He had this beautiful professional grade. It cost him an arm and a leg, but he got some amazing pictures of me. Okay, so again, it varies in the cost on how professional you want that equipment. The one that I bought, I will have it on the blog, the exact one that I typically use. Again, feel free to use it. And I'll have some other brands that I can say that I've had other friends use that you might want to investigate as well. Okay, typically you could get them in 3. And why do they sell them in packs of 3? So you could get 1, okay, you get 2, but it's usually best to get 3. The reason to get 3 is, again, you want lights on either side of you at a 45-degree angle, right? Facing towards you, between you and the camera. Okay, that's the best way to get lit up. And then you want one above you, right? Again, how do I have one above me right now? I just used the lighting fixture in my room and put daylight bulbs in them, okay? And the other thing you can do, and you can, again, get this off of Amazon, is you can get a large disc. Okay, it's kind of a flexi disc. It's kind of silver. You can put that underneath you so it's reflecting the light back up so you don't get shadows. Do you have shadows here underneath? my chin, I have these shadows. It would make those shadows disappear. Okay, so that's another way to do that. Had I been clever today, I could have taken my disc and put it over here on the side of me, and it would have reflected the sunlight. So that's another way. And those discs that I'm talking about, they're kind of flexible. They roll down. I think I bought mine for less than 10 bucks. So again, that's another way that you can actually use natural sunlight to your advantage and kind of get better lit. Okay. Let me think. The other thing I want to tell you about lighting. Sometimes you're using a beautiful background behind you, especially maybe like an office. Like on this wall, I have my background that's kind of matches my shirt actually. And I want to have separation between me and the background. Okay, it just looks more professional. So that actually is the reason I ended up with that Home Depot thing, because I could use my clamp light, put it on the back of my chair, shines the light on the background behind me, and it gives that separation, and it gives you a lot more depth on camera. Okay, so that is probably the really big thing. So that's my little thing about lights. If you like what you're hearing so far, give me some hearts if you're over there on Periscope. Let me know what you're thinking over in the chat. Yeah, my whiteboard definitely works as a reflector. That is for sure. Okay, so if you have some more questions, I know that was one that came in I wanted to address, but if you have some other questions, again, anything about tech that you want to know online, go ahead. You can put it up in Periscope. You can type it out in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer that. Otherwise, I'll have to go to some other questions that have already come in, but I knew I wanted to address that one on lighting because that was really big. Oh, audio when you're doing video. That's actually a pretty big thing too. All right, so there's a lot of different things you can do for audio. One of the things I would say to do, do I have it next to me? I don't. Okay, so you can actually plug in, and use a lapel mic. So you can get cords 20, 30, 50 feet long, however long you need, and you can clip them to your lapel, and it'll feed in the audio. That's one way of doing it. You can do what I'm doing now. I'm not using a mic. I actually am using a mic. I'm using a mic that's on my laptop. It's a very easy way to do. One of the things I would caution you about is using the same mic that you're using as the video camera. So I know that sounds strange. So right now, for the Google Hangout, I have a webcam. That's an HD webcam. So it's separate from the actual webcam that came with my laptop. And I am not using the mic that goes with that webcam, even though it has one, right? It's because it can cause some issues where it's trying to process all the same thing from the same item. So it's always a good idea to keep them separate or to port them in. So even if I was going to go out, which by the way is one of the cheapest, best ways to make video is with your smartphone. Especially, I think anything from an iPhone 5 or higher is better than some of the other video cameras even out there today. Just go ahead and use the lapel mic and plug in that way, okay, rather than just trying to talk straight into the iPhone itself. But even some of the other Android phones, they're just as good to use. But I know iPhone 5 are better, some of the best video equipment. My old Android that I used to have, I would use that to make video. It did a really good job as well. So you don't actually have to, because they're all HD now anyway, right? Technology has gotten cheaper and cheaper over time. So with audio, just make sure, try your best to use a good mic. If you're not using a mic like a lapel mic or like a mic they would use to make podcasts, you can even use that, like a snowball or something like that. And I used one that was by Audio Tech. Again, I'll put that on the site later, so that information will be there. If you're not using one of those, just make sure you're talking loud enough, clear enough to be heard. And you almost want to talk through the camera. You know, like pretend you're with a friend, y'all are at a picnic or something or a bar, and it's kind of loud. And so you've got to elevate your voice. You can't really talk soft like this because no one can hear you, right? You got to speak up. So be excited. Again, look at the camera, talk through the camera. That is going to give you some of the best sound. So yeah, great question. Thanks, Darla. Any other questions that we have? I'm open. I'd love to see them over here on Periscope. If you're over there, give me some love, give me some hearts. And again, if you're in chat, you can type in your questions there. I'll be happy to answer them. But while those are coming in, I was going to say one other thing about video. You know, it doesn't have to be super fancy. You know, it just needs to be you. You just need to be yourself on film. Just be as authentic as possible. And that'll translate to other people. People will resonate with your authenticity. So it might be that you don't feel comfortable, let's say, with showing your face or your background or whatever's going on. Well, then maybe have slides that you can use, like a PowerPoint presentation or a keynote or Google Slides, something like that. And it could just be voiced over those slides. And that's perfectly fine for a video, okay? You don't necessarily have to do face to camera. I do a lot of face to camera videos because I finally got comfortable on video and I love doing it this way. But sometimes I have to use slides just to get my point across so that people get the full information that I really want them to get, because this is all about service, okay? It's all about service. All right, so that was one other thing that I wanted to definitely say about doing video. Just be authentic, be yourself, and again, just go out there and do it, because there's no other way to get that experience other than just doing. Okay, and if you go back to some of my very first videos, you'll see what I mean. I was trying to be scripted. That's the other thing. People say, should you be scripted? Should you just be off the cuff? What should you do? And I'm one of those people that says, hey, do what feels good to you. If you want to be scripted and use a teleprompter, do it. If you just want to talk off the cuff, do it. You know, well, with off the cuff, I said at least have some bullet points going so you don't get off track and you get in all the information you want to get in. But all of those things make for good video. You have to do what makes you feel more comfortable. I remember I originally did scripted videos because I thought that was what you were supposed to do. And I was trying to memorize and regurgitate the right way because I would spend all this time on the wording. And then I started to relax more and I just had bullet points. Okay, what are my thoughts about using Periscope for video? I don't know. I'm experimenting with Periscope right now. It seems like a lot of fun. It's very interactive, which I love. So I think right now I would say to do it. I mean, if it's supposed to be a medium that's used in the moment, right? Where you can really reach out to the people that are following you and develop a stronger bond and answer their questions. So I'd say use it with the intention that it's supposed to have. You can have regular webcasts, just like I have this regular webcast, Tech30, that I'm putting on Google, on YouTube. You can do the same thing with Periscope. You can just have a regular show coming on Periscope and your followers get used to it and get really excited about it. Because they know that you're there. They know you're a real person. They're seeing you in real time wherever you are. And they get to interact with you, which that's what this is about. It's about building connection. It's about being of service. So what better way than to do it on something like Periscope? So that's my thought on Periscope. Definitely a way to really be of service to people. So thanks for asking. The other thing, just because I just thought that's about Periscope. See, guys, this is live. I never know what people are going to ask. So the other thing I just realized about Periscope is when I create this Periscope, by the way, I get to save it to my phone, right? So you can set that up to happen automatically when you, in the settings of Periscope on the app on your phone or on your tablet, because you can also do it as an app on your tablet. And when you do that, you can then take the video off your phone and then upload it wherever else you want to upload it or edit it or whatever else you need to do. So I actually think it's pretty exciting. The only thing I don't like about Periscope, especially if you're going to take that video and put it elsewhere, is you're kind of stuck with this vertical thing where everything else is horizontal in orientation. So that just, again, Periscope is new to me. I'm learning more about it every day. So I'm going to see what can be done about that. So it's great. Yeah, like Jinx Wild said, it's great because you can use that video and you can post it later elsewhere. I think that's the really great thing about Periscope and really being in the moment with the people that you serve. So great question. Great question. Anything else? Because this all seemed about video and lighting, which is a crazy topic. I didn't think it would all come out to video and lighting today, but hey, I'm here to answer your questions, so I'm glad to answer them. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. But if you do have a last minute question, put it in and I'll get that done. Oh, sorry. How did you set up your page on your web for the Google Hangout? Wow. Okay. That is a great question. And I'm going to try to answer it really, really fast. Okay. So one of the ways that I set up my web page to host my Google Hangout is there's two ways. One, you can actually just go ahead and when you do your Google Hangout in the lower corner, you can click on this thing. Kind of looks like an infinity sign turned kind of at a 45-degree angle. And those are your links. It'll say links. And I take that top link, which is where it's showing on YouTube, right? And I just paste that into my web page. So that's an easy breezy way to do that. There's a link below it to also do it as an iframe. You could do it that way too. Of course, what I have on my web page, especially for you guys on Periscope, what I have on mine is over here on one side, I have the video playing, and on next to it, I have the chat box. And again, that's just both where I'm embedding both of those things so that the video will be there. Video in the chat box, so it's easier, again, for my user. This is all about having an experience with my customer. The other way, you can use other softwares that become what I call like a skin for your Google Hangout. So particularly this time, I've been testing out Easy Webinar. Why? Because again, I want to make this as easy as possible for my clients. I want to test out new things to see how they work so I can report back on it. So if you're on the Google Hangout right now, that web page is totally set up by Easy Webinar. Again, it was just copying and pasting in that link, copying and pasting in the information on the chat embed, and that was it. It was pretty easy. You know, now guys, technology is so simple. You just kind of have to know. And once you know, it's so easy. So many things are literally cut and paste. And that's what it is. You just have to be brave enough to go in there and get to it. So great question about Google Hangouts. Again, there's some other skins out there. I talked about Easy Webinar. There's Webinar Jam. Right now, I can't think of all the other ones off the top of my head. But I've always been a big proponent of, hey, you can just put the Google Hangout on your webpage. You don't need these other things to do that for you. But things like Easy Webinar, Webinar Jam, and a few others, they have some analytics that you can use in conjunction with your email provider, and it'll tell you who was on the webinar, how long they were on the webinar, all these other kinds of things that, again, if you use properly, right, will provide an amazing customer experience, okay? So that is Tech30 for today. I want to thank you so much for taking 30 minutes out of your day, coming over here, asking your questions, and giving me an opportunity to really serve you. So if you want to know more or you need more help, please take the time, go ahead and go to africaarchield.com/talktech. You can book some time with me. We can talk one-on-one, and we can get you really a tech breakthrough. And if you're over here on Periscope and you want to make sure to know when the next Tech30 is, go to africaarchield.com/tech30, TECH30, and sign up. Not only will you know when the next Tech30 is, but you'll find out everything else I'm doing. So with that, I say be peaceful, joyous, and love-filled. Have a wonderful day.